Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But it comes at a price. Samantha Horwitz and John Salerno work with police departments across the country to bring valuable recovery, insight resources, and workshops. A Badge of Honor TV brings those professionals to you so we can come together and revitalize communities through a better understanding of what's at stake and what's required for repair. So take a load off and turn up your TV. It's about to get real.
Hey, welcome to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam. We are powered by the OBBM Network, and once again, it is Mental Health Monday. So sit back, relax, because we have an amazing show for you today. What's going on, Sam?
Hey, it was an amazing weekend. Had a lot going on throughout not only the city of Dallas, the Metroplex, with a lot of memorial services. And we had one that, really hit close to home for us because we got to be one of the responding organizations to assist Rowlett PD with suicide that they had last year, as well as one that they had in a previous year at Heroes Memorial Park in beautiful Rockwall, Texas, right on the water. It's always like it's a double-edged sword because it's great that their names were engraved and put on the wall because it's so beautiful. But then you think about why they're there and that because they're not with us anymore. Right. But kudos to the Rowlett Police Department, Rowlett Chief, and everybody that turned out to make yesterday super meaningful.
You know, for those who do not know what Heroes Memorial Park is across the country, it is the only memorial park in the nation, and I think probably the world, that remembers our first responders and our veterans for the way they lived and not in the manner in which they died. So it's a memorial wall for those who have taken their life due to post-traumatic stress injury, because we all believe it is an injury. It's not a disorder. And those families, we should give them the respect to have their names placed on a wall. When they raise their right hand to take an oath to serve our nation, and we should put them to rest the same way, with their hand raised under a flag and with honors. So that's what Heroes Memorial Park is. And, kudos to First Help and, Karen Solomon and all her staff for really building this up. When I went there this weekend, in the morning prior to the memorial service, I met with Karen, and I noticed like those panels, on the wall, they hold about 80 names. And me and Karen were talking, and there's about 500 and something names on the wall so far. There's over 6,000 in her database that still need to be placed on the walls. And that's where those 11 panels are. And I noticed, big thank you to Gary Sinise Foundation, who donated one of those panels. Motorola donated one, and a couple of other organizations and families donated those panels for those beautiful etchings to be put on display so we can always remember and memorialize our heroes. So that's what Heroes Memorial Park is all about.
Yeah, it was. And for like I said, it's a little bit of an emotional roller coaster, especially our hearts go out to the families that are now seeing their daughter and dad's name, their husband's name on the walls. But we want to get to these folks before. That is the whole reason why we do what we do. Yep, and it's the whole reason why our guests tonight do what they do. They've got a heart of service because they both serve currently. And without further ado, we are going to bring on Rainey and Chris Webb from Righteous Oaks Retreat. Welcome to A Badge of Honor TV.
Thank you so much. We're honored to be here. Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, let's dive in right away. Rainey, you were tagged before the show, so you're going first. Tell everybody watching and listening on their favorite podcast app a little bit about you and Righteous Oaks.
Yeah, I guess Chris decided age before beauty on order of today. So I am older, as he'll point out. But my name is Rainey Webb, and Chris and I have been married for 24 years. When we got married, Chris was serving with the Dallas Police Department, and I was working in the criminal courts in Tarrant County. And I've been working in the criminal courts in Tarrant County for about 25 years in the DA's office and other roles here. And Chris went on to serve with Dallas PD. We have 2 kids, and they're in college now, which seems crazy. But during my time at the DA's office, one of the assignments I had was with the mental health courts. And in my background is I have an undergraduate degree in social work before I went to law school. And so a lot of the things that I even did in court as a prosecutor was, focused on the source of a lot of behavior, even criminal behavior. And so mental health has been something that has been part of my career for the majority of it. So That's where I'm coming from.
Wow. And Chris, tag, you're it, my friend.
Yeah, she's not that much older. For a couple months of the year, she's older. I'm Chris Webb, also known as Rainey's husband, most of the places. I hired on with the Dallas Police Department in 1997. I did 20 years with Dallas PD. I was in patrol for 10 years. I was on the SWAT team for 10 years, and I retired thinking I am done with law enforcement. And then 3 years later, I found myself back in law enforcement where I currently serve. I work for the Texas Attorney General's office, and I run a fugitive unit here in North Texas. Been doing that for like 5 years.
Chris, it's funny. So many of our first responders follow the same path. When we speak about this all the time, we can't give up the identity. It's so difficult. And, not that it's a bad thing. It's a good thing because you have a servant's heart. But so many, officers out there who leave law enforcement, they retire, they go back into some sort of role, no matter what it is, that they can either protect, serve, track, hunt, do something to help out the public.
Yeah, I found that the real world was just kind of boring. Like what was the point? You spend 20 years serving and trying to do something for the greater good, and then you get a job that it's just about money, and you're like, well, this isn't all it's cracked up to be. And so I'm very, very fortunate and very blessed to have the job. I love my job. It's like that second chance, and my whole perspective is different now. And plus, I took 3 years off. I wish every officer could take a year off at least, and just kind of remember, oh, that's just a job. And so when I came back, I came back with a different attitude. It wasn't like I was stuck and just trying to, grind out 20 years anymore. This was more like, I love going to work every day. Like, it's so much fun.
So after 3 years, all right, did you say, well, man, I'm getting fat on the couch and I got to get off my butt, or I'm done fishing, I'm done relaxing? Like, what was that transition that said, what, I'm going to go back and walk? Was there?
I was fortunate. I did take a school year off. The kids were in 6th grade, so I became a school mom for that, because I'd been on call for 10 years.
Dad.
Yeah. School. Well, I was with all the school moms. I'd been on call for 10 years. I felt like I owed it to my children, especially, to be available to them that big 6th grade year, And so, and I will tell you, no one really prepares you for retirement. No one. It's a big shock, and I was very cautious to not make my position with the SWAT team. I was there for 10 years to not make it my identity. But the sneaky thing was, just being a cop, I figured out, was a lot of my identity, because everywhere you went, you were noticed. You were there for a reason, and then you just kind of fade away. And when you leave your department, you're gone for a week, and the world keeps moving, and people forget who you are.
Chris who? Who?
Yeah, right. That old, what guy was that? Right. And so, it's a shock. It really is a shocker. You got to prepare beforehand to know they're not going to remember me after 6 months. I'm going to be an afterthought. Even though I gave my heart and soul to this city for 20, 25, 30 years, the world keeps moving.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we all have our time. and that time is precious. And, because it's not like any other job, because there's only a few of us that can actually do that job as a first responder, that it's not the job is meaning to be disrespectful or rude by forgetting us. It's like the community and who's the makeup of the community, the new police officers and first responders coming on. It's a cycle that just continues. And that you did your best when you were there. And, at least if you're in the smaller groups like SWAT, and I'm sure they remember you, Chris. That's all.
I got a couple of the old guys that are still there that I can go visit. Yeah. They're still there.
Yeah.
I stop by when I can.
Yeah, Chris made the coffee every morning. That was great. Chris, we need someone to make the coffee every morning.
That's
People don't know how much coffee runs a police department. My goodness gracious.
Oh yeah, we do, because we have a coffee sponsor. We're gonna get to them, in a couple of minutes here. But first, we got to take our first quick break and say thank you to Patriot Mobile. So stay tuned, everybody. We will be right back.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever. Every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Okay, so switch to Patriot Mobile now and get a free month of service with promo code BADGE. It's scrolling across the bottom of the screen there, folks. I get this question all the time. No, you don't have to give up your phone unless you want to. They have really cool, up-to-date, the latest and greatest in technology. No, you don't have to switch your network. What Patriot Mobile does is it zeroes in based upon your location what network will serve you best. The huge difference is that your money doesn't go to the big 3 that can do whatever they want. It goes to a company that supports your First Amendment, Second Amendment, gives back to the community. They're inside schools. I think their last post that I saw on social media, they provided the U.S. Constitution to schools, so the kids are learning. So it is super easy to switch. 972 Patriot, promo code BADGE, or just log on to patriotmobile.com/badge, and they will call you. Their customer service, hands down, is the best in the business. So again, switch to Patriot Mobile now. Get a free month of service. Now back to the show with Chris and Rainey Webb from Righteous Oaks Retreat, which we haven't even mentioned that now. So Chris, you are still on the job. Rainey, you are still on the job. So Chris, you talked about the transition not being so easy. When did you all decide, hey, because you've been out there, you see what goes on in the first responder community, we need to give folks the respite that they so deserve, but are, it's like, no, you can go. No, you can go. No, we're very willing to let somebody else go because, again, the servant's heart. When did Righteous Oaks come about?
Well, it was in that time period between 17 and 2020 when I was out in the real world. We'd had our attack on July 7th, 2016, and I'd retired. I had guys I'd worked with. I had a guy I worked with that committed suicide 2 years after he retired. Had another officer who committed suicide while she was still active duty. And I realized, man, we're not doing something right. Something's not happening. And I was disconnected because I wasn't there anymore. I kind of felt I had some guilt about leaving when I did. I kind of felt like I was leaving everybody high and dry after this big event in 2016. And so a friend of mine had given me a book written by Dr. Tanya Glenn, who has a practice down near Austin. And I read it. And I'm not a reader. I can barely read a pamphlet. And but I read it cover to cover in one day. And when I closed the book, I'm like, why didn't anybody tell me all this stuff before I started? And I kind of was like, man, we need to get this message out. And I talked to Rainey about it. And that's kind of how the idea started, was just there's a need. We know there's a need. I looked around on the internet. There was groups doing this for veterans, and they would give you first responder seats. But I'm like, I'm not a veteran. I will never really fit in with these guys. No offense to them. I just will feel like an outsider. I wanted to do something where it was just police officers because we have a unique situation. And so Rainey and I talked about it, and that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah, we had there were just a couple of catalysts along the way. As Chris mentioned, July 7th was such a huge thing, and especially in Dallas. And for his team specifically, they were the ones who responded. They were the ones who, were there, and were the ones, that responded. Like physically, Chris went over to check to see if the shooter was still alive. So these guys had been shot at all night, had been involved in ending that situation. And, it's in for one department to go through 5 funerals in a very short period of time is a lot. It was a lot. It was hard I think it impacted not only their department, but the nation in general, just because the pendulum had shifted so much from the love and respect of police officers to like now there was all of this, angst and ire against police officers. So not only were they dealing with, okay, now we are actually, we are actually being targeted, but also there's no support, that support that we've had for so long. You go out to dinner and, you have a couple pick up your check and say, thank you for your service, and all those things. There was just such a shift. So July 7th was definitely a huge catalyst. And we had, I'd been involved in a couple of retreats and just seeing how getting away and having concentrated time to really focus on getting away from the noise and getting away from all the things was restorative for the people who went on retreats. And so we looked at that, and we have some land, and we thought at first, well, maybe that's what we're called to do with this land, is use the land to help police officers and have retreats. And through a lot of different steps, we had a lot of people advising us, mental health people, business owners, police officers, counselors, all types of people, and people who had a retreat center. And they said, don't build a retreat center, build a good program, and find the right people for your program. And then you can find places to have this retreat. And when we look for the right people, we could not have found a more perfect partnership than with Dr. Tanya Glenn's practice and her therapist. And so when we met with her and she said, I think this will work perfectly in a retreat setting. We can do X, Y, and Z, have some classroom time, but actually have therapeutic time. It seemed too good to be true, actually.
Rainey, I don't want to dismiss anything on and I don't want to say the back of the house of the first responder, because you're a first responder in every sense of the way. When we talk about the DA's office, trauma is trauma, and when we talk about doctors and nurses who have trauma, do you, as a DA, because we haven't spoke about this on your level, losing a case, you guys see the evidence, you guys see all the stuff that goes behind and the facts and the truth, and then to feel, or you lose a case due to a jury not just feeling it or whatever, it's soul crushing. But it also you deal with the families. That's got to be a hard aspect to walk up to a family member. It's like Chris walking up saying, making a death notification, going up to the family and saying, "Hey, I did everything I could, but we lost."
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
it
did you
was
guys have that same trauma aspect in mental health?
for sure. And, you know, I always say that it's, you know, apples and oranges, because you guys are on the scene and you see it and you smell it and you can, you know, all of the things. And when we get the cases, you know, they're on paper, but the majority of my time at the DA's office was doing crimes against children. So the cases that I was doing, you know, were physical, sexual abuse of children, or murder and injury to children, you know, and I say very often, like, it took a part of my soul, you know, it took a part of my soul. And I think it's very common. And I think a lot of the, you know, similar things is that you want to be just like you guys. You want to be that advocate and that protector, and the line between the evil in the world and the good people in the world, and those people who need protection and those people who are vulnerable. And so, you know, even John, honestly, even on the times when we did have a verdict that we hoped for, it was still traumatic, because you knew what that child had endured, or you knew what the family had.
Photographic evidence, the testimony, the just looking into the eyes of the child or the parent or a sibling or whatever it is. God bless you. I wanted to make that known that, you know, DAs suffer the same traumas as all of us, that post-traumatic stress. So I want to thank you for your service as well.
Yeah. You know, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back and my dogs stop barking, because they're when they bark, it means they agree with everything
that's right.
that's being said. Yes. But we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and talk more about the retreats. Stay tuned, everybody.
Look, when you need to respond to an aggressive situation to protect yourself, your family, or your property, understanding your firearm and legal position are critical. Officers know your skills are only as good as your commitment to training. So know what you're doing. So when you're in a vulnerable situation, we can count on your response. Whether you're a beginner or a licensed gun carrier, Carry in Texas offers basic firearms training, Texas permitless carry courses, license to carry, and basic 2A courses so you can understand the responsibilities, situational awareness, and learn the technical skill required when you carry your firearm. Go to carryintexas.com to find the right course for you. Join me, former United States Secret Service agent Samantha Horwitz, on the range for beginner basics, LTC prep, and range practice. Go to carryintexas.com today. That's carryintexas.com.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam. We have Chris and Rainey Webb with Righteous Oak Retreat. Chris, who is a 20-plus year veteran of the Dallas Police Department, now on the Fugitive Task Force. Rainey, distinguished DA here in Dallas, putting our criminals away and doing their thing. You know, and I look at the dynamic between the both of you. And the first thing you said, Chris, when we started the show is, you know, you were married like 24 years, right? Or 27 years?
24
years. You're married 24 years. And now I see where that marriage has that solidarity, because you both are able to communicate to each other your different traumas, and you can see each other and what they feel. And that's why you make a good dynamic. And that's why that's going to make this retreat so successful, is because you both bring different perspectives to our first responders during their stay with you. And I think that's exactly what they need, is perspective on both ends. Because if a law enforcement officer loses a case could be, you know, if you're working a case for a year and a half, 2 years, and all of a sudden, you know, you're going to blame it on the DA who dropped the ball. Oh, they dropped the ball. You're always going to blame it on the DA. So that could be soul crushing to them. You know, Rainey, you can bring in that perspective, saying this is what happened and this is why. You know, because sometimes we feel traumas that we perceive are traumas, but we don't understand the things that went behind them to cause the outcome. Yeah, make sense?
Go
ahead, Ray.
Well, it was just that it does make sense, and bringing that perspective. The other perspective, I think, is as a family member. You know, a family member of law enforcement officer, of bringing perspective of, you know, a lot of officers are hesitant to take care of themselves because it is in their nature to take everyone else and everything else all the time. But I always share with the officers at the retreat, when you go on an airplane and they tell you, if we lose pressure in the plane and if something happens and you need oxygen, you have to put that mask on yourself, because you can't help other people if you are suffering and if you are the one going down and if you're not taking care of yourself. And so that's part of my message with the officers, as a family member, our family is only as good as we both are as a whole. So if Chris is having a hard time, if he is struggling with something, if he is internalizing and dealing with the things that he has seen day to day, our family is going to suffer because there's going to be an outlet for that, and I think everybody, when they absorb trauma, it either internalizes and explodes somewhere, or there is some way to numb it and to medicate it in ways. And so that's really one of our biggest goals on the retreat, is everyone that serves in the criminal justice system, everyone who is serving in this capacity is going to experience trauma. Now, what do you do with it? What is it? What is your healthy response? How do you build that resilience to deal with it in a healthy way, and not just medicate it or put it aside or numb it, or let it explode all over your family, but to truly, work through it and gain some tools. And so I think that's where we really start, is that when people hear of going on a mental health retreat, you're thinking touchy-feely, we're all going to hug, you're going to lay on a couch, you're going to, cry, talk about, all the things. And what we just want to start with is the trauma is going to come out. And every single person that comes knows that it's going to come out either in drinking or in other ways of dealing with that trauma, anger, or wherever it goes, or just shutting down. There's a lot of people who just absolutely shut down because they feel like they can't share that with their spouse, or that civilians in their life can't understand that. And so the way we just start out is, we want you to just see these tools of being able to take the things that you have experienced and deal with it in a healthy way.
And John, regarding Rainey and I, she can speak to that because it's firsthand knowledge. When you're going through your career, you got your nose to the grindstone, and you don't really pay attention to how you're dealing with it. And I was a drinker. I was a heavy drinker, and I was a social drinker before I started this job. But you could be a non-drinker in this job, and it'll turn you into an alcoholic.
Oh yeah.
And I was already predisposed to that genetically, and so I was addicted to behavior. Well, then the drinking turns into, it's not social drinking anymore. I always said I was trying to drink to find the kid that didn't know about all the things I know, which is just a fancy way of saying I was drinking to forget things.
Yep.
I thought it was better. And quite honestly, I wouldn't be walking here today if I had not found a mate in my wife, Rainey, to help keep me within those boundaries, because that's how I dealt with July 7th.
Well, it's funny you bring it up, because that was the next thing out of my mouth. I noticed what Rainey did was she protected you in a way. When you brought up the 2016 incident, you didn't elaborate. You didn't go any further. You left it at the incident, but Rainey shared some of it, which really, she brought a little bit more into that incident, and that's the trauma you feel, and that's a protection factor, and it's a healing factor. And I like that about you, Rainey, because you immediately kind of just like stood up and said, "There's more to his story. Don't let him say it's just an incident." And that's great, because that's the openness you need at that retreat to have those spouses say, "You're not saying the full thing. You're not."
Well, and John, right now we just do it with just the officers. But I really didn't know when we had our first retreat. I didn't know how open these officers would be. I know how we are. And we've done 5 retreats, and every time I am amazed at how, and it's just something about traveling away from Texas. You're away from home, you're with other officers, and morning of day 2, we just kind of introduced each other. You go around telling your story, and man, just for anybody outside of law enforcement, they would be shocked at the things they hear. And it's not all work related. Sometimes it's childhood related. Sometimes, and you realize pretty quickly, oh, we have different patches, but we are all in the same boat. And you had no idea that the guy or the girl you rode up in the van with, who was fun and laughing and was dealing with whatever it is they're dealing with. And there's something just it's like calming that you say, okay, great. We can take the mask off. We don't have to impress anybody. Let's dig down and dig in here and see what's really going on. And man, it's been unbelievable to me, the stories I've heard. And I think it's just the comfort of being with other officers, which if I was with somebody else, I probably wouldn't talk.
But it doesn't have to be your spouse. It doesn't have to be your spouse. And you brought, you do only first responders, which is great. And this is what, like in the beginning when we spoke, you said, if you would have known these tools and resources when you first joined, right? We have to start teaching our younger officers. All right, we can protect our partners with guns. We're going to go into battle with them. We're going to lay down our life for them. But we also got to step up like Rainey did and says, hey, you're not saying the whole story. Let's get it all out. Let's be there for you. Let's look out for each other on a mental health aspect instead of just when we say we're okay and we're fine, take that for okay, all right, you're okay and walk away. We all know you're not, but we never follow up.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to we don't
know how.
Spouses.
We don't know how. We don't know how we want to get involved, but that's kind of what we try to talk about when we're there. It's like, hey, here's what to look for. Here's a critical incident happens. You need to be looking at these things, and it may not be your critical incident. It might be your classmate or your fellow detective, and now oh, I know what's happening here. And if they ask, hey, you ever heard of this EMDR thing? You can say, actually, I have, because I went on this retreat and I tried it just to see what it was all about. Maybe it helped you, or maybe it was just an informative deal for you to go, oh, okay, now I know what it looks like.
Right.
Then I don't know, Sam, I don't know if this is a good time, but just to give an overview of the retreat itself. We
can do that after our next break, after our next coffee break, because, John and I don't know about you guys, we take a lot of coffee breaks throughout the day, and let me just put their stuff up here. So East Texas Legends Coffee Company, founded by Ben and Amanda Holmes, reflects their journey from Ben's Marine Corps service and law enforcement career, overcoming PTSD to finding purpose in ranching. Relocating to an East Texas ranch, they identified a need for a local coffee brand. Now they're opening their first coffee shop in Lindale, Texas, rooted in faith, family, and community. Their mission? Inspire purposeful conversations over coffee. You can drink coffee and be legendary. So what you want to do is you want to go to etxlegendscoffee.com. That's etxlegendscoffee.com. Use promo code BADGE for 15% off their delicious coffee, as well as their really, really cool merchandise. And, John, cheers, my friend. But
there we go.
They do a coffee a month. Like I think banana bread is this month, but their flavors, it doesn't have that fake flavoring and sugary like a lot of other companies out there. The fact that it's local to Texas, they will pack whatever you want to order and they will ship it out. But the best part is that those beans, whether you get it whole bean, it's whole bean in my house because we got a grinder, or you get it already ground, it's within days. So it's not something that's been sitting on a shelf, that's been sitting in a warehouse. It is super fresh. I like to mix the flavors, which I'm told is okay to do. So my go-to is spiced maple and Diablo, which is their super dark roast. It is absolutely delicious. So again, E for East, TX for Texas, legendscoffee.com, promo code BADGE, grab 15% off right now. Now back to the show, because I know everybody here drinks coffee.
Hey, welcome back to Badge of Honor TV. Before we left, we were talking to Chris and Rainey with Righteous Oak retreat. And Rainey, you're going to start telling us about some of the programs that are offered when somebody steps into the retreat.
So our retreat, yes, our retreat is 4 days, and we hold the retreat at a beautiful retreat center outside of San Diego in a small town called Ramona. And so we fly officers from wherever they are, free of charge. The entire retreat is free of charge. We are a nonprofit, and so we have generous donors and kind people that just want to tell officers how much they love and appreciate them and want them to be healthy and want our communities to be healthy, who have given generously. And so the officers come for free, and it's 4 days. So we fly out to San Diego and drive about an hour up to Ramona in the hills. And at the retreat center, we have staff from Dr. Glenn's office. So there are therapists that are there on site. And our first day is really, as we arrive, the therapists give an overview just about trauma and the effects of trauma on the brain. And our goal of all of this is we recognize that 4 days is not enough to fix, we'll use that term loosely, to fix all of the trauma that has happened over years and decades of doing this job. Our hope is that it will take away the stigma of asking for any type of mental health help, that they will see, okay, this is not as, loopy or as, touchy-feely as I said before, and that it truly is about the brain. It's not about feelings or emotions or about whether you're strong enough to overcome it. It is about how your brain gets rewired after trauma upon trauma upon trauma. And so we start with classes, with the doctors, with the therapist, and they start and go through that. And then, as Chris mentioned, the next day, people share their stories and talk about critical incidents and kind of give an idea. And that part, as Chris said, is really one of the highlights of the retreat time, because you see, the first night you have, and it's 10 people, and we limit it to 10 officers because just the intimacy of the group, and the ability for the therapist to be able to work with them. So it's a small group, an intimate group. And so the second day they are able to share just their background. And that after that second day, that second morning, this whole group it becomes a family. They all of a sudden, all the walls are torn down, any inhibitions are gone. And after that initial second morning discussion, then the therapists start doing actual therapy there. And so they offer to whoever wants to participate EMDR therapy. And we also have equine therapy. There are horses at the retreat center. And so we divide up, and one therapist takes an officer down to the barn with the horses, and another one has EMDR. And during that time, Chris does some other activities with the officers. So the ones who are not doing one-on-ones, we have some other, go through Dr. Glenn's book. We do some other things. And the retreat center offers also just some total wellness things. They have yoga that they offer. They do a cold plunge. And we have multiple goals. Now, first and foremost being to equip the officers with the tools to deal with the trauma in their life and to deal with in a healthy way, and to overcome the stigma of first responders and police officers asking for help and reaching out when they need something. But also, we want them to get rest. The beautiful part about going out to California is, they can't just go back. If we're in Texas, they can't just go, well, I got to run back to my department because something's going on. They are away. We encourage them to put their phones away. There aren't even any TVs at this place. And so we just want them to truly rest. And for so many officers, it's the first time they've really been able to shut their brain down, because as Dr. Glenn says, you're always in this fight or flight, even when you're home, And so
when they walk through the door, just like go.
There is a lot of that.
Or some just like, oh, I don't know what to do.
There's a lot of that too.
There's a lot of that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of that too. And this sweet part about, so we go, it's a place called the Oaks. We aptly named the Oaks. They named it before we did. But the staff there are also just these incredible servants. And so the folks who make dinner, like they don't allow any of the officers to take their plates to pick up their plate. And you should see, when you see 10 officers who are just weighted on hand, they don't know what to do with it. Like they're like, no, we got to clean up. And we go like, no, you can't do anything. And it just throws them for a loop. But we want them to feel loved and served and appreciated and get that rest.
And another way too that we try to make sure they understand that is it's completely free for the officer to attend. They pay $0. We cover the flight, everything is covered. That was important. I know how cops are. You're going to tell me I'm going to be gone for 4 days. I'm going to miss my extra jobs, and I'm going to have to pay for it. They won't come.
You can say cops are cheap.
Cops are cheap. I mean, I'm one of them. So that was we tried to remove as many hurdles. And one of the things when we started going to the Oaks for the first time, it was really just out of necessity, and we were familiar with the location. But what we found was it was great because when you get on a plane and you fly away and you go and you get off that plane and you're in San Diego, California, and the weather is amazing and you've left the 100-degree heat in Texas behind, you really feel like, okay, I'm gone and I can't help. And that's the key to really, I think, people can actually turn it off a little bit. And I'm like, look, if you have to carry your phone for work, I get it, but I'm going to really encourage you not to carry your phone. Don't doom scroll. Take this time to just relax. And it's really fun to watch these officers who don't know each other when they come in. They're off having conversations, talking, getting to know each other. It's really a neat deal. Because you start to realize, man, we're all the same. We just work for a different agency. We're all going through the same crap. And it is a lot of fun when you take that mask off and you're like, okay, I don't have to pretend that I'm some Billy Bad A. Sam, I covered there. And I hang that on the wall.
That's an okay word.
Right. And just be honest and because everybody else is. And it's really interesting watching these groups. The van ride up from the airport is the most awkward hour drive ever. And I tell them it's going to be super quiet because you're all it's all weird. I go, but on the way back, I want y'all to pay attention to how loud this van is. And it is. I mean, they're just back there gawking with each other, talking, laughing. And they do, like Rainey said, man, they bond. And one of the things we do, we bring a photographer with us, a photographer. And he fits in real good. He's not an officer, but he's been to this thing every time. And he's real good with talking to officers. And we were laughing because we said, hey, we're going to have a photographer, sign this waiver if you don't want to be in any picture. And I thought at least they would, man, they were, hey, where do we get copies of the pictures? Where can we? And we're like, yes, we will send you, because they want to have a memento of their trip.
Right.
Because it's so, when they get done, I mean, I've had one of my favorite compliments was from a Mesquite lieutenant who said, it wasn't as dumb as I thought it was going to be. I'm like, that's the ultimate compliment, right?
It is. That's we got to go up on Yelp,
right? And I can't tell how many times people will come up to us during the retreat and they'll be like, "This is really great." They may not say it in front of everybody, but they'll come up and they'll be like, "This is really." And the reason we're at 4 days is because we started at 3 days. And the first couple alumni groups were like, it needs to be another day. It should be longer. And we're like, okay, we'll make it longer. And that's where we are now. We're at 4 day retreats. And it's really
great. I've got the website up on the screen. So for everybody listening on your favorite podcast app, you can visit Chris and Rainey at righteousoaksretreat.com. That's righteousoaksretreat.com. And how do officers... do they go to the website to get on the list for the next retreat? How does that work?
Yes. Yep. On the website, there is a link where you can also refer people. If you yourself are interested in coming, you can apply through the website. Or if you know somebody, if you know an officer, we've had other folks that you had a cousin or a friend in a department that have referred. And so, yeah, it's on the website. There's just and it's a very simple when I say application, literally, if you just send us your name and phone number, then we'll get in contact you and see if you're available for the dates.
And there's a phone number. There's a phone number on the website too. That's my phone number. You can call.
How many retreats do you run a year?
Our goal is to do 3 a year. So we try to do it every quarter except the fourth quarter because Christmas that time is so crazy. So we, generally speaking, we have one in February, one in June, and one in October. So kind of those general time, it just is whatever, it depends on scheduling at the Oaks.
Okay. And then before the show, we talked about if this is not only for current serving officers, this is also for retired as well.
Yeah,
correct?
we'll bring retirees to, absolutely. We've had, I think this last one was the first time we didn't have a retiree.
Yeah, we've had retired
officers before. We've had retirees also, and I think it's great because if you're a new officer, you're going to be you may not have a bunch of critical instances, but you're getting some information that's going to help you throughout your career. And for that 20-year, 30-year officer, it's kind of like, well, what do I do with all this crap that I've got? Well, it can also help there. And like Rainey was saying, we do the EMDR and the equine therapy. It's not designed to fix you, although we've had people walk out of one of those sessions going, that just changed my life. Some people walk out and they're like, didn't really have anything, but at least I know what it is now, so I can refer people to or talk to people about it. Or in my own life, if I realize, oh, I've had a critical incident and I'm still constantly thinking about it a month later, I probably need to go try this again. So
could people return if they had to? Could people return if they had, like multiple times return if they had to?
We have not we are, as you mentioned earlier, we are still doing our day jobs. This is 100% volunteer situation. Chris and I do this in addition to our jobs. And so we are trying, we are not taking returning people now because we just want to get as many people to experience it as possible. Yeah. One of the best compliments that we have had is one of our biggest supporters has been an assistant chief with the Mesquite Police Department, Doug Yates. He came on our first retreat. We have a connection with, there is a daughter of an officer who was killed in the line of duty. So Richard Houston was killed in the line of duty in Mesquite Police Department. And I've gotten to know his daughter, Shelby, and she has been part of our retreats too. And she shares her family's story about how counseling has helped them, how she has dealt with losing her dad in the line of duty, bringing the family perspective. But she put us in contact with Chief Yates in the Mesquite Police Department because of their experience. They now pay for their officers to come. So they make a donation to Righteous Oaks Retreat because Chief Yates went to the chief in the city and said, you know, this is valuable. I would like for all of our officers to go through. And we have another department now, one of the sergeants who has several people underneath, a whole group of people. He's like, I would love to send somebody every time if I could, and so,
that's great.
Yeah. So that's been for us, that is affirming that we are going to, like we have said 1,000 times, these two people are ding dongs. We have no idea what we're doing. It is like,
I think you know what you're doing.
We have just been blessed that God in his kindness said, we're going to let you two be the stewards of this, but you're going to need to find people who know what they're doing. and just y'all, the two of y'all just don't screw it up. So that's our goal, is that the two of us don't screw this up for everybody else. But we have just had I think the good fortune of having good people like Dr. Glenn, as I mentioned before, and then having, we tried to bring in officers in, and specifically it's been important to bring supervisors so they can see it and they can then have the rank and file underneath them, go, okay, this is a valuable thing for our department.
Well, absolutely. I'm going to put your website up again. It's righteousoaksretreat.com. Where do you guys play on social media so people can connect with you there as well?
Yes. And again, we are like 90-year-old people, two ding dongs, but we do have, we are on Instagram at Righteous Oaks Retreat. And there is a Facebook page for Righteous Oaks Retreat as well. So.
Yeah, you guys post some good pictures and so people can connect with you there. But again, Righteous Oak Retreat, Righteous Oaks Retreat, there's a plural, .com. If this is resonating with you, reach out, get in contact with Chris and Rainey, and they'll get you on the list for the next retreat. Thank you guys so much for coming on and sharing tonight. You absolutely do know what you're doing, because you're healing so many of our warriors out there, those present that serve, as well as retirees, which is so important because there's not a ton of programs. So thank you from us to you. Thank you for that retirees part, for sure. We are going to definitely be in touch with you. You guys can already find Righteous Oaks Retreat on our website. So if you forget to go there, just go to our website, click on the logo. It'll take you right to Chris and Rainey. Again, thank you guys so much for coming on, for sharing your backgrounds, your stories, a little bit about, the traumas that you've experienced, and that, so you know how to heal. You know how it goes. We will be in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, John. We really appreciate it.
So great for this opportunity, and thank you guys for what you do. As you mentioned when we met, we're all in this together for the health of officers. So thank you guys for what you do too. Yes, that's right. Thank you.
Exactly. Take care. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
I met Chris and Rainey at the TMPA conference down in Houston, and I'm just so glad that they are getting the officers that are filling that retreat center. It's just vital what they do. When you can, your shirt said it all, when you can come from that background, you can come from the understanding everybody's together, they're sharing their story, realizing they're not alone. That's when the walls come down and the healing begins, as John Edmondson, our partner, so eloquently says.
And that's what, when Rainey said, they're just two knuckleheads, just the stewards of this. But you know what? They have the passion, the drive, the empathy, the healing factors within their hearts to, and that's 80% of it. 20% is the breathing and all the other stuff, the mental, the mental mind stuff that you deal with a psychologist or a psychiatrist. But to have the compassion and what they have, the love for our first responders, that's what a lot of them are missing. And that's a big part of the healing process. So they're not the knuckleheads. They are very compassionate, passionate people about our first responders.
Yes, we appreciate them so much for what they're doing. And wherever you're watching tonight, please hit that like button, subscribe. Hey, if you're watching on Instagram, hey, IG family, we are up. I think we are 25 follows short of that 1,000 mark, which is critical, so we'll never be interrupted again. So just give us a follow there over on Instagram.
Click.
Yep, follow.
Click.
Just follow.
Click.
For all of we're all grassroots. We're all nonprofits trying to make a difference, and it takes every penny to pull off our programming. abadgeofhonor.org is where you can find us. We have got an open workshop coming up Friday, December 5th. And what I mean by open workshop, if you are within a 2-hour drive of North Texas, we'll be in Garland. Thank you, Garland Police Department, for opening your doors and hosting this. We have an 8-hour interactive workshop. You want to sign up for that workshop. Registration will be going up here very, very soon. Again, free of charge. And you want to get registered. We feed you all day, and you also get TCOL credits for that. So that is Friday, December 5th. And what else do we have going on, John? We have our wonderful partners with Carry the Load. If you're not familiar with Carry the Load, go to our website, scroll down to our partners and resources, click on Carry the Load's logo. It'll take you to their page. They raise money to give back to first responder and veteran causes. We're part of their Continuum of Care program as a nonprofit partner. I signed up today for the 100,000 meter challenge. I'm not doing I'm going to try and do 100,000 meters. You can swim, you can bike, you can run, you can rock, you can walk, you can row. Whatever your physical activity that you want to do, you log your hours, and we're trying to get from November 11th through December 11th. So it starts for Veterans Day for an entire month to get to that 100,000 meter challenge. So you can go.
Does the TV remote count?
Yeah, sorry, no.
No.
As our wonderful friends in Sheepdog say, get off the couch.
That's right.
So you can join if you're interested in joining and creating a team, a badge of honor. Just reach out to us direct through the website again, abadgeofhonor.org. We got a contact link up there, and just say, hey, 100,000 meter challenge, Sam, how do I do that? Also, our friend Trent Fielder, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, amazing book. It is out, Gunner Speak. This is one of the most unique books, and my dogs agree, that I have ever read. Trent is an amazingly gifted author, and a writer, a poet. It's an amazing story. It's written as if Gunner, his service dog, is speaking to you. So you want to pick up the book, again, on Amazon, Gunner Speak. Just phenomenal. And to all of the first responders out there, if you just want to get away, you need help. You know it. Don't hide it. You're not alone in this. Reach out to Chris and Rainey with Righteous Oaks. There's something for everybody. Know that you have prayer warriors praying every single day for you to get home safe. Thank you for what you do, keeping our community safe. For all of our veterans out there, thank you for fighting the good fight so that John and I can speak freely and do a show like this every single week. For our active duty personnel spread out across the globe, thank you for what you're doing to keep our shores safe here at home, the good old US of A. John, take us home.
Man, to all our law enforcement, mostly our law enforcement out there that are fighting that good fight, it's a continuous battle. I know you're taking hits from every direction, politically and on the street. Keep the faith. Keep moving forward. The storm will be over. The storm will be over soon. Keep doing what you're doing because we appreciate it, and so many Americans appreciate you each and every day. Do not give up the fight. Peace.
Till next week, everybody.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBN Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBN Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.